Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. I've had the chance to go to the Tokyo Game Show just the other day and see Monster Hunter Outlanders. If you haven't checked out the new trailer for Monster Hunter Outlanders, which just debuted at the Tokyo Game Show, make sure to go watch that before you watch this video. And if you're thinking, man, that music sounds really good, well, that's because they hired Tadayoshi Makino to do the music for this, which is super exciting. Like, he was a composer on the 3rd and 5th gen games. He did the main theme for Monster Hunter World, Yukumo Village, Moga Village, Astera. He did monster themes like the Great Jaggy, Baroth, Gobble, Barioth, Agnactor, Genmaran, Zenogre, Ukanlos, Zora Magdaros, Call of Tarath, Alatreon, Dragon's Dogma stuff. Like, dude is amazing. So the fact that they got him on board to do music for this game is super exciting. This is a mobile game pitched by the Timmy Group back in 2021, and Capcom were on board and announced their partnership with them in 2022, and finally we got the game announcement like 10 months ago, late 2024. We're finally getting our first actual look at the gameplay, and I wanted to give you a kind of sloppy video where I talk about my impressions after playing it for 20 minutes and seeing the booth. Now, before I do, it's worth noting that the monetization scheme isn't known yet, and they told press that they haven't fully decided. They want to do their closed beta and other testing before that. They just opened up signups for the closed beta in November, which makes me think that this might be a spring or summer release. The concept is fairly straightforward. It's an open world game with multiplayer or NPCs, and you can do various activities on the map, such as farm items for crafting, building and using zip lines and other traversal tools, some mini games, and of course the main dish, which is hunting monsters. Movement and everything is full 3D and it plays like a normal traditional Monster Hunter game, but the inputs for basic attack combos are made into a single button, and several skill buttons are used in side battle as well. Some smart implementation of flick and slide to lock onto different parts of the monster or to trigger different combos makes combat mostly look and feel like you'd want it to be, but on mobile, which is super impressive. No idea if they'll add in controller support, but Timmy do have a trend for doing so with their other games, so I'd say it's definitely not out of the question, and anytime we get the chance, we should let them know we want it. Then you have more than just palicos. They've got owls and monkeys to choose from as well, which you know I'm a huge fan of the animal aspect of Monster Hunter. You play as your own adventurer avatar, but you get specifically designed NPCs as well that are tied to a single weapon and have special skills. While the ones they showed were really waifu material, they made a point at the event to mention that there'll be a good selection of male hunters as well. Seeing the TGS trailer and the stage presentation and stuff, it's easy to be like, okay, what type of crazy new phone am I going to need to play it so it looks like that? But I did get to play the demo, which I'll show footage for after this clip, and it was running really well, and it was on an iPhone 16, not the Pro model, just the base. The device wasn't hot, and the performance was great. Actually, you know what, let's just talk about it because it's like the elephant in the room, but being a free-to-play game, like, what are my thoughts, right? Look, I'm not looking to add a second mobile game to my rotation. I'm quite happy with it just being Limbus Company. But I want to see Monster Hunter innovate, and I'd love a game I could potentially play casually and only ever get like a battle pass or something for. Now, it's totally fair to be skeptical until we know more about the monetization or see more about the loop. Mobile spin-offs, especially Capcom ones, have burnt people before, self included. Nobody wants to see Monster Hunter turned into some shameless cash grab, which unfortunately is the history of what Capcom's been doing. So the fact that Timmy approached them, and yeah, I mean, you could say this is Tencent, who knows, Tencent's a huge company, right? They've got tons of studios, and so you can't really look at that as a track record, but Timmy themselves have like, Call of Duty Mobile, Honor of Kings, which has been running for many years, Pokemon Unite. Like, they know how to take a good IP and to make a good mobile game out of it. So it's nice to know that the developer has chops and a pretty good track record when it comes to how they're doing monetization. Up until now, we had stuff like Monster Hunter Explorer, which was actually pretty fun when it first started, but it kind of lacked depth in its battle system because it was very much on rails with just like some sliding and swiping, and ultimately it was just heavy on play gating with stuff like old school stamina systems, gacha based mechanics for weapons, armor, and upgrades, and it just left a sour taste in many of our mouths. Monster Hunter Riders was far worse, focusing almost totally on character and monster pools with a gacha first game design. Good riddance. And I'm assuming most of you know this by now, but I am not a fan of Monster Hunter now. I don't like the way that it punishes you for smart play. It time gates you and DPS gates you into pain unless you just want to walk forever and try to get like, buy the items to get you more drops, because they time gate the hunts. So if you don't DPS the monster down fast enough, you fail. And if you play too aggressively, then they'll get you on wanting to pay for potions. Stuff like that. I found the game design just, dirty in that regard. So far what I've seen for this game though, I'm not seeing any of the more traditional warning signs. The core gameplay felt fun, it played smooth, it was very high grade, and definitely had that Monster Hunter flavor. And honestly, Timmy being the developer and not Capcom is a good sign. These are the folks behind, like I said, Call of Duty Mobile, Pokemon Unite, and Honor of Kings, so like, in terms of polished controls and being able to take a game and make it into something really good, these are probably the best folks that you might want. Plus, they've got games that have run for many years, which is also encouraging because a lot of mobile games these days opens up, gets the money in, shuts down in like a year, which sucks. But looking at their recent games and how they operate them, I would assume that they might do like a battle pass, and then, events focused on sort of that daily login, the weekly goals, and if you fall behind, then, you can pay to shortcut your way to the end, and stuff like that with a heavy focus on cosmetics. I imagine there would also be, like the characters that you can get with the specialized skills will probably be limited event time pools as well. But the fact that you get your own hunter who can use every single weapon and is customizable tells me that that won't be like the true gate. It's just a way for people who want to collect different hunters with different specializations to do so. Again, all speculation, we don't actually know, so let's just look at the game and how it plays and how it looks, which I think is pretty dope. Okay, so trying to get hands-on at the demo at their booth was impossible. Like, they ran out of the tickets to go play it within like the first 15 minutes of the show opening up. Like, you couldn't even get in the show that fast. But I did go to the Capcom booth, which had most of their games interesting were more relegated to the back of the booth. I think they were pushing Pragmata more than anything. But they had it in the back, and I waited 50 minutes so that I can play it. You got a choice. You can play as the Fated Adventurer, or you can play as one of their 4 specialized NPCs, which they've been showing off. Now, they didn't go into detail on what the 3 classes were, the Disruptor, Assault, and Support, but I imagine this is more like the MMO type of aspect of it, where the Assault is probably just more focused on attack, Disruptor for being able to break parts or to knock down stamina, and Support obviously for support. Now, I'm going to throw an image up here that I just threw together on MS Paint just to show you guys why my gameplay is so bad. I literally did not think I'd be able to record, so I had my phone propped on the headphone set that they gave us to use, and then I had to like crouch my body in half and sort of play it with like just peeking over the headphones so that I can see the screen just a little bit, just to make sure that I was holding the device, straight enough that I could capture the footage. I didn't have time to pay attention or know like where all the skill icons were, what they did. Anything really, so it's crappy gameplay, and I apologize for that. But you get an idea of the performance and the general vibe both through their stage presentation and then my footage as well, which is nice because you never know if they're faking it, on stage and stuff like that. I chose Dual Blades because I figured it'd be an easier one just to jump in and play. The first thing they want you to do here is to repair the watchtower. So I started digging into some of the menus, so I'm going to pause and talk about those. Okay, so the first one just seemed to be mainly for the camera, so being able to change stuff like vertical sensitivity, horizontal sensitivity, which I'm actually happy about because some games, like when you turn, the camera just goes like really fast and it's hard to tell what's going on. They actually did have the far camera for camera distance for combat. I should have turned that on. Again, I couldn't even read anything on the screen. I just knew, I'm capturing something, but I couldn't even see it because of the setup I had. But it's nice to see that they've separated camera distance for non-combat and combat and stuff like that. Moving on, let's check out the control options. Okay, for control options, we had the wheel shortcuts being either a flick or a swipe. I don't think I showed this at all in my footage because, again, I had no idea what I was pressing. I could barely see the screen, and I didn't get to read everything before I did it. But there are lots of shortcuts where you can flick or swipe, and that is a way you can change it. Auto glide, this is when you jump off of a cliff. It'll automatically pop up that sort of like Legend of Zelda glider, which allows you to just travel far into distance. Aim assist, I assume, is for bow guns, and then invert glide dash controls for the flying. An auto-use travel facility sounds awesome. Like, they have lots of things. You can just craft a zip line or like one of those like cannons that just shoot you out into the air. to move around the field really fast, so it allows them to have a really big open world, but not make it too hard for you to jump around and track a monster. I like the idea that you could just run up and it'll just shoot you out and you can fly towards a monster. That's super cool. Okay, moving deeper into the menu here, we have game. We have an option interesting enough to use scout flies, which is kind of encouraging. I don't know exactly what it does, but maybe if people are annoyed by the little sparkles and they're like, look, I know my way around, I don't need the scout flies. There's an option to turn it off, which is neat. Hiding your weapon in cutscenes is nice, so you can enjoy the nice visuals. And then the monster attack warnings at subcamp. I don't know exactly what this means. If this means that a monster might attack one of your subcamps, it's giving you a warning like it does in Monster Hunter Wilds, but that's my assumption. Okay, moving on, we got our sound menu, just basic volume controls. And interesting enough, they have voice language English and Chinese supported. So it's nice to see Japanese and English both will have an audio track. And now let's check out the mission text. One of the things they're doing, which I think will give them a lot more creative freedom, is instead of calling you a hunter, they're calling them adventurers. So it's the Adventurers Guild. So the first quest here is all aboard to the mysterious island. So this is to repair the watchtower, which is just, press a button. I imagine you might need a farm for some wood or some ingredients to do this, though. It says a real ship needs more than just a Neil, mast, and sails. It needs an experienced captain. Why? That would be me, of course. Our adventure ship has just landed on this island of great research value. The nearby ocean currents are a bit tricky, so the ship will have to rest here for a while. Talk about the perfect opportunity, my friend. Now is the time to go explore the opposite shore and show what you're truly made of. P.S. I noticed quite a few facilities left by previous adventurers on the shore. Now, I wouldn't say that they're as dependable as our ship, but given our circumstances, I say why not. Written and addressed by Captain White Jack. So I like the idea that it's an adventure, and you can track your quests, which is nice. I believe there's a total of 3 or 4 quests during this demo that you could have done, but this is the main first one. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this down. As far as the repairing here, it was just set up that all you had to do was tap it, and it would start it. Now, do note that there is a timer on the upper left showing how long you have. That was for the demo, because they wanted to have the game immediately knock you out after 20 minutes, since it was a 20-minute like hands-off demo where you can just go crazy and do whatever you want. So that does not appear to be like an in-game mechanic. I didn't know it at the time, but you can just press those buttons on the map for all the different camps, and it would just automatically fly you there, which is pretty cool. But of course, I couldn't see what I was doing. I didn't know what was an icon. There's the automatic sort of glider that comes down, which is nice. Very cool swimming animations. Like, the game just run really well. Like, this is my camera zoomed in to like 250%. So like the resolution looks probably crap on this video, but actually holding it in your hand and playing it, it looked phenomenal. This is fun. This is like the human cannon. You can just shoot yourself off. In the stage demo, they showed you could just craft it on the spot and use it, which is nice. Just a fast way. I think I saw some small monsters here. I decided to attack. Okay, after talking to that NPC and then going to the cliff, I got my rewards. Now I'm going to jump off and head towards down to fight the Radiant Pukei-Pukei. This is sort of like a new type of monster that they're introducing in this game. They have the Radiant stuff, and they also have like, they get really violent, like frenzied in a way. I don't know what the actual mechanic's going to be called when they bring the game out, but we'll have to wait and see. But if you notice here, like, there is an evade button, which is on the bottom right of the attack button. And you can evade just like normal. There's a stamina gauge, which is that little like arcing yellow thing to the right of my health. And yeah, you can just attack and do basic combos, and then you've got your skills. Again, I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't know what the skills really were at this point. And I did also notice that this hunter in particular has an adept evade. So if you evade into an attack, you can do a special adept evade. That one was just a normal, I think, roar evade. And then after a small miracle of pressing some buttons, I figured out how to activate demon mode. It would have been really nice if I was locked onto the tail. There's a way that if you just hold down the monster lock-on thing, you can just choose the tail, the wing, or whatever, and it'll automatically lock onto that body part. When you see an icon that's sort of like it's like a locked-in, more heavier type of lock-on icon, it's just a thing that you and your buddy and the NPC are all targeting it, so it's just a sign, yeah, hit it for big damage. But here I was just jamming on some buttons, just trying to make sure I time my evades right and get out of there. But yeah, there's a special attack that you can do for each one of the characters. That was a nice little cinematic cut-in that you see for doing that. I assume that you're not going to get that cut-in for your normal hunter. There's that lock-on, now you can see it. Like everyone's locked onto the tail and going crazy on it, so now is the time to try to break it. Again, because I did not have the headphones on since I was using them as a prop, I don't know if all those things are voiced. But there are callouts which are nice, saying like, hey, it's eaten a scatter nut. Watch out, like its attacks have stun added to them. Or, hey, it ate a poison cup, so its things are going to be more venomous. And, you know, the attacks that the Pukei-Pukei can do will change depending on what it's eaten. So we see it's exhausted, and I think it's going to run away soon, probably. Here I was just testing out just how good you can get with the evades. Of course, like any bad hunter, I'm, trying to carve in the middle of a hunt. Let's see what, of course, get the boar, get interrupted. Gotta get my piece. There we go. So I got myself a radiant Pukei-Pukei tail, and here it goes flying off into the distance. Now in retrospect, there's like so many cool ways that I could have chased it. Whether it was just prop, like an auto teleport or the different props. But here I go into the menus more and we get an idea of the sense of the player upgrading and progression. So you can see again, I was playing Raya, who was a disruptor, and she's got a special thing where she's more attuned to fire element. She's got an element specialization. Let me tap in and see what that means. It says that this adventurer gains an additional damage bonus when equipped with a fire weapon. So this gives you a good idea of how like the hunters are going to be specialized, both in their appearance and probably voice, but also like you want to equip them with weapons of a certain element to get their bonus, which is interesting. I thought that you wouldn't be able to change their weapon, but I guess because it's a character, you would be able to. I have to assume, though, that she's probably locked into dual blades as a dual blade user, but then we get the different trait upgrades, which will allow them to gain additional damage bonuses. So here we can see that her trait upgrades is either 17% fire damage boost, 33%, or a maximum of 50%. It looks like it's just a basic cost in order to upgrade that. Then we can see here that she has an exclusive trait which says with each successful attack reduces damage taken by 2% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So the more aggressive she is, the more divine blessing she kind of gets, right? Like you take less damage. So I like it. I think when the game comes out, I'll definitely want to play as her. It's a cool thing, but I'm wondering like how varied all these exclusive traits can get, and also what your hunter gets as a way to balance that out. Okay, let's tap in and see what these actually do. So this is the evade button. Again, it was located in a slightly different place, but this is basic evade. It's got skill effects cross slash. If you press basic attack immediately after an evade, you'll do a cross slash. And after triggering a perfect evade, you can press the attack button to perform a spiral slash. So yeah, it's nice. It just sort of streamlines the controls so that, it does different things after different actions, which I think is smart. It also has a level up button on there, which is interesting. Okay, for now, let's just move on to the other skills so you can see what they are. The first one here is Demon Mode. So when the Demon Gauge is filled, tap Skill 1 to enter Demon Mode. It enhances certain actions, increases movement speed and attack frequency, and greatly boosts your damage. While in Demon Mode, your Demon Gauge will continually deplete. It automatically ends when your gauge reaches 0, or you can tap Skill 1 to manually end it. So this is the same as it normally works in Monster Hunter. This is where I finally noticed that there was that level up button. So if we press it here, we can see that by using the resource to upgrade Demon Mode from level 1 to 2, it will change the attack bonus from 15% to 15.75 and speed boost from 20 to, it says 20, but I imagine maybe they just don't have the decimals being shown. But this shows you just like there's a certain amount of progression you can do to power up their skills. Okay, tapping in skill 2 is the Whirling Dance. So tap it to use the Whirling Dance, deals increased damage when in Demon Mode. And if you hold it, which I did not know, if you hold it, you'll do a perpetual Whirling Dance. Release it to perform the Whirling Rising Slash, which can negate monsters' attacks. It's a counter. I really wish I knew this when I was playing. Then you have the Whirling, so you can release it to perform the Whirling Rising Slash, which can negate monsters' attacks. Then when successfully negating the attack, you can immediately tap skill 3 to chain into the Rising Whirling Dance, which of course does more damage when you're in demon mode. Then it has the Devastating Whirling Dance, which is a burst attack, which you can do when your gauge is full. This is sort of like the ultimate skill, I think they were calling it. So it says when you're in demon mode, if Rising Whirling Dance hits a monster's weak point, tap skill 3 again to chain into the Devastating Whirling Dance, dealing massive damage. Let's see what it does when we level it up. Notice there's a total of 8 levels for all the different categories there. But for level 1 to level 2, the Whirling Dance gets an upgrade from 78 to 80.3. Perpetual is 108 to 111.2, so very granular updates, but you know, I think with 8 levels, it'll probably make for a pretty substantial difference on the demon mode and stuff like that. So yeah, it pretty much just increases the upgrades of all the damage across the board. And here are some other ones here, just showing all the different percentages. So yeah, small micro upgrades, but fun nonetheless to get some power. So moving on, we're going to look at the skill 3 finally. So it says tap skill 3 to use Chain Dance, performing up to 3 directional spinning attacks that consume stamina, filling your demon gauge with each hit. Deals increased damage when in demon mode. And then it's also got its burst attack, which is a cross Chain Dance. This one I didn't capture fully, but basically it says like after using this attack, you can tap the basic attack button to chain into a cross Chain Dance. And then when that ends, you can tap skill 3 to do another empowered one. So it sounds like you're going to like do a combo between skill 3 basic, and there's a way to sort of burst and come up with a nice chain of attacks. Actually, here's our ultimate on the right hand side here. This is our co-op ultimate, the skill called the Berserker Dance. This does damage. You can tap the ultimate to unleash the Berserker Dance, performing 2 consecutive attacks. The second one releases a scented mist, reducing the monster's defense on hit. So it's great. You can sort of mark a part of a monster to be weakened so that you can break it off. That was the co-op ultimate, but the co-op skill is called the Returning Dance. This is the defense down and damage, so tap this co-op skill to use Returning Dance. Cause Raya to dodge backwards as Rathalos deploys an incense-filled cart. Raya hops onto the cart while Rathalos opens it, using the incense to fill her demon gauge before they push the cart forward to attack. Rathalos is her pet monkey that we'll take a look at just about now. So let's tap into her buddy, which is her Rathalos, which is a disruptor type. The way they have it done is that the Rathalos, which are the buddies that are native to Asoland, are skilled at using tools and radiantite to build. He's a disruptor. Then you've got the birds, which are called the Trillins. They're also native to this land, and they use their voices to support and give buffs to your hunter. And then you got good old Palicos, who are adventuring with us to this new land, and they're skilled at using various weapons and items, and they are assault types. So here we can see that this one is called Barum. I don't know if those names are set. It's a total of 5 levels, at least at this point, that you can upgrade him. He's got an affinity of 50%, 24 attack, adventure buff when deployed. It seems like he also gives an attack boost to your hunter. Then he's got Buddy Cheer, which can be upgraded 6 times. When you bring him into battle, the following effect is triggered, which is Inspiration, which is when a monster enters a weakened or abnormal status, you get your adventurer's attack increased by 50% for 15 seconds. So he allows you to go gung-ho and burst. So let's tap into his stuff here. He's got 3 skills. First one is his Pot Bomb. This is a passive. It says that he tosses a bomb at the monster, dealing 80% damage and 18% element damage on hit. His second one is called the Barrage Cannon. This is a passive skill as well. He constructs an autocannon that fires an enhanced shell after every 3 normal shells. Normal shells deal 3% damage and 3% fire damage. Enhanced shells deal 9% from both, and extends the duration on hitting a downed monster. The skill can be used every 40 seconds, and only 1 cannon can be active at a time. So yeah, that's neat. They have these little sort of passive skills that you can just activate. I wonder if you have to activate them or they're more automatic. And of course his ultimate, which is the Shackling Turret. He constructs an auto turret that fires a bullet, dealing 420% damage and 420% fire damage. Well, it says element, but I would assume fire. This bullet can interrupt a monster's current action and inflict paralysis. Against flying monsters, it can knock them down instead. Very cool. So these buddies are really substantial, I think. I like. Okay, so at this point I wanted to finish the hunt, so I actually pulled out of the menu, even though I probably should have looked at it some more. But looking at just the quest name here, I think I accidentally opened up the menu, so may as well look at it. It's called Valley of Poisonous Mist. Perfect, absolutely perfect. This is the place to test out my glider. Just another sky is about to be conquered by the great art of gliding. Just watch as where did that Pukei-Pukei come from? Deal with it. So yeah, you're probably going to run into a bunch of funky NPCs that get themselves in trouble. Here's some real shoddy traversal, but I thought it'd be interesting to include just so you can see just like how much you could do. It's really got that like Breath of the Wild type of feeling here, where you can just climb up on stuff, jump off, use your glider. I couldn't. I guess I'm not like the best free climber in the world, but I was able to sort of latch on here and then jump off and use my glider to go over here and then get back up. Again, you should just be able to press a button to zip to a map or create a zip line to just go up. You won't actually have to be climbing these things, but this is just me being a moron. Why not? I was trying to figure out what this thing was. Like, you press and hold it, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And that was like being able to place like a zip line or something, and I wasn't aware of what I was doing. Okay, so there's Pukei-Pukei. Let's take him down, shall we? Oh, nice evade. Again, for someone who had just read the notes on what skills do, you would think that I would actually use them. But again, I was so focused on just trying to keep my device upright that I really was not being able to take in anything here. Yeah, so when they're near dying, this is interesting. Like, they bump out these like almost frenzied light effects, just showing that they're at like a heightened state and they're about to do like a super attack. I know that the Rathalos had some interesting attacks, but this is the Pukei-Pukei one. It's going to do a massive AoE. This is the kind of stuff I actually want to see them add more into the main series. I like it when monsters have a big signature attack, whether it's an AoE or something that you have to be mindful of. I think my first adept evade is coming up around this point. I think it spat at me and I was just ready for it. Woo! I bet you I pressed the button to accidentally like exit demon mode even though I just activated it. So yeah, hunt is successful. I was very happy to see that it doesn't just force you into like a countdown timer like, okay, get out. You're stable to free explore. You could still hunt stuff. I went ahead to, I only had like 4 minutes left here, but I decided to go and find the Rathalos after I carved the Pukei-Pukei. Now, if you watch the developer demo on the stage where he uses longsword, it's really great. You can see like all the different types of actions they can do, and he hunted both the same monster and he managed to kill the Rathalos as well. But this is just showing you the different things that we had in the demo. There was this egg heist challenge. I like the idea of a egg heist. Apparently you can hide in bushes and stuff and make it harder to be found, and then you're just going to steal an egg and bring it to the delivery spot. Complete Zen stone balance. This seems to be a mini game that they have here where you can just balance stones. And then the winged treasure hunt. I assume this is going to be like trying to figure out how to get somewhere using your traversal, but we'll see. Then there was the Rathalos hunt, which is called the Crisis of Blazing Flames. Now, mind you, there is a regular Rathalos in this game as well. It says, head to where the Radiant Rathalos was spotted. We discovered a strange Rathalos near the island's stone forest. It's in an extremely agitated state, and its breath has an unusual glow. While adventurers usually don't interfere with nature, if we leave it be, its flames will quickly turn this island into a sea of flames. I'm sure someone like you recognizes the danger. Adventurer, in the name of the Adventurers Guild, I entrust you to hunt it, or something like that. Here's me accidentally figuring out that you could fast travel in the game. I had the map open, and you could just champ, and you can just jump over to a camp. Woo! And these are interconnected areas. It's like the Gaijin lands. Like, you'll have a forest going into a desert, going into a crystal cave or whatever. They said that they are interconnected. Okay, then once we enter in the area where the Rathalos was, it triggered a small little cutscene here. Nice little cinematic. It's a really pretty model, isn't it? It's all running in real time. Nothing was like pre-rendered or anything like that. So you'll be able to see all the customization that you'll do to your hunter, I'm sure. And again, some very lackluster gameplay from my perspective. I was just focused more on evading and stuff. So this is me doing that. I did get off a few good adept evades here, though. But you can see here, like, this is not like Monster Hunter Now or like those games where it's on rails and all you're doing is doing like a left or right dodge and a poke. Like, it's flat out Monster Hunter. It's full 3D. You know, we've got our support hunter here to help us, but you can hunt solo as well. It's very cool. Like, seeing this running on the iPhone 16, and again, the device was not hot, was really encouraging to see. Like, I was assuming that it would be something like, you know, an iPhone 17 Pro, and maybe it would have some stutters or something like that. It's me panicking to cure myself of being poisoned. Why the NPC sort of takes the fireballs to the face for me. I was also traumatized by Monster Hunter Now with the idea that you had to like get grinded and paid for potions. So it's very nice to see that there's the Vigor Wasps on the map that you can use to heal yourself. So it doesn't seem like we're being gated in any weird way like that, which is cool. Again, I would highly recommend you just check out the developer stage demo of this part. It's so much better. And they're using the longsword and showing off really the breadth of different attacks and stuff you can do. Where here, this is just, you know, a person tapping buttons. But it's still nice to see, though, you know, like it's a less controlled environment. You can see how it performs and everything. So hopefully you guys are finding this interesting. But yeah, I also think this gives a good idea that the hunts are not like over every 2 minutes. It's not like one of those like bite sizes. Like, it's an actual game. Like, you know, hunts, they don't seem super long, but they're not like, you know, 1 minute affairs. Some nice camera work on sort of Rathalos and everybody coming in at you. I like that he's taken the air a lot. I think that's one of the things I think a lot of people liked about the more recent versions of Rathalos, is seeing him take to the air more than being a ground monster, because I mean that's kind of like what he's supposed to be. And that pretty much was what my demo was. I ran out of time here because I only had 20 minutes and it was just way too long of a line to go back to try to wait some more. But yeah, super impressive. I can't wait. I hope I can get into the closed beta. Of course, that'll be closed, so we won't be able to talk about what we saw and take footage or anything, but I hope that I can get in so I can play it and give them some feedback. But yeah, if you are interested in seeing how this game plays and what it is, this is what we got at Tokyo Game Show. We'll see tomorrow if they have anything new for us. Hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts, and until next time, thank you for playing.